We are up to the Ayin Bays. We are middle learning the geography of bubble, and some people send me in different pictures of the geography of bubble, but it's all conjecture as it says. So leave it to your imagination. So we're up to the wide lines now. We talked about this place called Chabal Yoma that is so special, and so on. So the Papa comes along and says, Omar Papa. We're up to about 4 lines in the wide lines. My Chabal Yama, where is this place called Chabal Yama? Amar Papa Zuparas de Pursi. This is by the Euphrates. We're near the town of Bursi. Okay. Who gathered the person Amar Lahu? He said to them, Ano min Shoit Meishit. I come from a place called Shoit Meishit. So the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yishchanaf stood up on his feet, and he said, Shoit Meishit Bein Anahoris Aimus. They're between the rivers. Now we could be talking about the Paras and Chidekel, but then the next question is a bit hard to understand. What do you mean Mahab? We just said that that's considered bubble, and over there they're perfect. You don't have to investigate, their yichas, the lineage. So it must be other rivers he's talking about. Says the Gemara. Also between these rivers, whichever rivers they are, the same thing like, but this is the same thing like bubbles, that they're perfect and you don't have to examine their background. The Heicha Kaima, where exactly is it? Rabbi Yechon says, there's a city called Iyadikira that will, and even higher than that, north of that. So you have to be north of that. North of that is already outside of bubble. Rabbi Yechon said that the end of bubble is by this bridge over there by Gizma, and no further. And this is further north. We had a very similar thing in Gittin as well. There's a strip. We have it from Kaziv. There's a strip of land. So you're right. Generally, bubble ended where Rabbi Yechon said, but then there's a narrow strip that goes up further, and there it goes up to this place here. and that's where he was. Sorry, I just skipped a line. Amar Bika Bar Rabin, Amar B'Chananel, Amar Rab. Bika Bar Rabin said name of Chananel, name of Rab. Chilozin, or Chalzon, the city called Chalzon, or there's a river called Chalzon, and Nihavanad, another place called Nihavanad. They also have the same status, that region over there is considered perfect. You don't have to investigate them. Don't lose no word he said. He has a vested interest. Why? Because he has a sister-in-law that he has to marry. So he wants to go around saying that his sister-in-law is perfect and it's not tainting his family at all. So he was offended and he said to him, did you? I said the name of Chananel. I didn't trust him. Ozil Shailul of Chananel. They went as Chananel. Did you say that region they're all right? So Chananel said name of Rab. Chalzon Navanat Hareki Gail. Exactly what he said that Rabbi Ika Rabin said in the first place. Upliga the Rab Abba Bar Kana. This argument Abba Kana, what do you mean argues? Because Abba Bar Kana, he says, it says a possibility that the king of Ashur took the 10 Shvatim and he scattered them all over the place. And he took them where Vayanchem, and he led them to Bachlach, Uvechover, and Nohar Goizen, V'orei Modai. What are these places? And Chalach Zu Chausen. Chalach is Chausen, and we know that says a Shvatim they had Goyim mixed into them and Avodim mixed into them. They no longer have pure lineage. And Chabuz had Dayev, that's a place called Dayev. Nar Goizen is a Ginzik, or Zu Chamden B'Chavre, and its suburbs. Ba'amil others say Zu Nahavet B'Chavre Nahavet and its suburbs. So we see clearly from him that what he argues, because he holds that it's not a pure lineage, because that's how the Shvatim went there, and we know that it got all mixed in. My Chabrita, what do you mean by its neighbors? Which cities? Amashmol, Krach, Mushki, Chuzki, Berumki. These areas. Obviously, they're all very familiar with these places. Rabbi Yechon said, so you see, they all studied geography because they knew at least the cities in their own country. Rabbi Yechon said, the Kulam Lipsul. What? And Rabbi Yechon said that all of these places are not. All the places that Asher sent the Shvatim to are all possible because they no longer were maintained that integrity. Says the Gemara, because we know that the goyim mix into their families, or avodim mix into their families, and even if you say a goy who marries a Yiddish woman, the children are kosher, but still it's a pagam. The daughter can marry a kohen and so on. Because we thought mushki haina mushkini, so we thought right now mushkini people are the same town, but people pronounce it differently. Mushkini is very careful with their lineage and the yichus. The two different cities, not the same. Then it says betlas iloyi bepum. Daniel is having this dream about the whatever. He sees all different kinds of animals, and he says it tlas iloim bepuma bein shina. That you have these these three different things that are in their mouth. This each animal he sees there represents a different country, a different gullus. The second one is bubble, and he says he sees that it's in the mouth. And bein shina, sometimes it's out of the mouth. You can see it between the teeth. It's exposed. That sometimes we're swallowed in bubble, and sometimes we're sort of outside of bubble. That this is talking about that no, sometimes bubble's in total control over us, and sometimes bubble has no shlita over us. So he says, this is Chausen Hadayiv and it's even Shapamim Boil Asan, Upamim Protosan. Sometimes bubble is in total control, and sometimes Protosan bubble is not in control of these areas. I guess it also has to do with the lineage, whether we are completely taken over by bubble or we have our own integrity. Then the pasuk continues, "Va'aru chaya achreit shenyona dami l'doiv," and there's chaya that follows the second animal is similar to a bear. Which nation is this? Elu parsim. This is referring to the parsim. Why are they compared to a bear? Why is the bear compared to them? Because they eat and they drink like a bear. They eat a lot. And they also have very fat, thick, like a bear. If you remember, Taste of the Avodah says over there that a bear is even stronger than a lion, big and strong and hefty. They're very hairy, like a bear. I guess a bear is more hairy than other animals. And they're restless. And Rashi says even when they're tied down and with chains, they still move about the whole time. They can't stop. And that's what the Parsim were like. They were ruthless people. When he would see it, Rabbi would see a Parsim riding an animal, this is a bear that's moving about. That was the example he gave. Only Rebbe said to Levi was a Talmud of Rebbe, and he said to Levi, so you know how to speak well, you know how to give good examples, good analogies. Hareini Parsim, give me a good analogy for these Parsim. So he said, I guess the bear is not good enough yet. You want to have an image of what the Parsim were like? They were like the soldiers of by David and Melech who were very strong. Hareini Chabarim, show me the people called Chabarim. If you remember, we looked in Gittin, they were worse than the Parsim. Doimil Malachi Chabola. They were terrible, ruthless perpetrators of crime, and so on, like terrorists. Hareini Yishmaelim. Show me what the Yishmaelim are like. You want to know Yishmaelim? He says, Doimim L'Seidim. They're like goats. Shalbeis Takise. And Rashi says they dress in black. It's like the ISIS. They all dress in black, and they're like demons. They are demons. The demons that hang around the toilets. I guess the different classes of demons, and this is like the. I know. So they could have had other examples. We have usually a desolate house. Bubble. Show me, give me a good image of Tamid Chacham bubble. They look like angels. They look like angels. We had the thing Moshe Shabbos that that Rabbi Yehuda would put on a talus or something, and he sat there with his white talus all around him, and he sat there in the field, and he looked just like a malach. When Rebbe was about to pass away, Omar suddenly he had an Nevi'us. Rashi said right before he passed away, he had an Nevi'us. So this is what the Rebbe said about a number of cities in Babel. Umanya, Ike, Babel, there's a city called Umanya. Kul Amanoyi. They all come from Amoy, which means you're not allowed to marry them because a male Amoyni can never come into the cult. And Misagra Yikabov is another city called Misagraya, and that place over there. Exactly. So these cities, he's telling you, these cities are not part of what there were. Yikabov Kula de Mamzedu. The entire city is Mamzedu. Remember we had before the Gemara, this city is like sick, this city is like Goysin. So when you nominate the city, so you have it, Birka Ikabov, there's another city called Birka, and there Ika Babava Shnei Achim. That most of the cities are right, but there are two families. That they share their wives, which means that their children are mamzedim, but only limited to those two families. Birta de Satya, there's a place called Birta de Satya that they strayed away from the Eibishter. How did they stray from the Eibishter? What do you mean they strayed from there? What did they do? That they went ahead and they caught fish on Shabbos. Isham too, Rav Acher Rabbi Yoshe. So Rav Acher Rabbi Yoshe went ahead. What happened was that suddenly the water level had risen in all the ponds, and suddenly it was full of fish. And they went ahead. It was so easy to trap them, so they went and caught the fish. Went fishing on Shabbos. So Rav Acher Rabbi Yoshe went and he put them in chedim, the ishtamid, and they all got so angry they decided to become a pastor dishmatzich. So therefore, he said they went astray. If you look at the Shvus Yaakov in his Chuvas, he talks about in going to Europe, most cities are near the rivers, and there's in the river there. He said on Shabbos, he said in his city, every city has the Mishagas. He said in his city on Shabbos, after they had the cholent, instead of going to Spatzir, they would all go to the river and go rowing. And he was contemplating whether he put them all in chedim or not. And here you see the Gemara that sometimes you have to know how to deal with it, because okay, now that you obviously know how to catch fish on Shabbos, and how do you deal with it? It was not just one person catching fish. It sounded like the whole city. They all went catching fish. So he, was a takif, and he put them in chedim, and they all became goyim. So, Rabban, you're not allowed Shabbos. It's not easy that I said, but what do? Do you go ahead and you put them all in chedim, or do you give shiurim and explain to them what's wrong with rowing? It's interesting, yeah. He writes here that generally every generation is a mishagas. People do something which on Shabbos is, or not Shabbos, it's questionable, but everyone does it. Like also you about walking dogs on Shabbos. Where did that come from? And so on. Scooters, in Los Angeles, there are 8 of it says there that you cannot ride a scooter. If people ride scooters, they can remove their 8 from Los Angeles. On this thing. That was a few years ago. Now I don't know. Okay, think about it further. There's another city called Agma. There's a person they called Adar Bar Abba. Yes, but a person called Adar Bar Abba. Today, that he is sitting in Avram's bosom. So one pshat is that he passed away today, which then times the Rebbe is a tandem, but we know there's Adar Bar Abba Namayda, so it must be somebody else. Like Teisha says, there's 2 Adar Bar Abbas. Or today he was his bris, and Teisha says he lived for a very, very long time. If he was born the Chayiv of Rebbe, and he lived for many, many years, as Teja says, Sheherich Yomim Harbe. He lived for a very long time. He lived in the time of Nachman Yitzchak, who was from the later generations of Amoraim. Even though according to Rashi, Nachman Yitzchak is the famous of Nachman we talk about all the time. Teja holds somewhere else. Of Nachman, the famous of Nachman is of Nachman by Yaakov, not the Nachman by Yitzchak. Anyway, then he continues. Hayom Neilad Rabbi Yehuda, but the famous Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel Amar Rav was only born when the Rebbe was about to pass away. That means he was quite young, because Rabbi Shmuel was the first generation after Rebbe. That Rabbi was a Talmud by Rebbe, and remember Rabbi Yechim told Reish Lakish how great Rabbi was with the fire burning, and so Rabbi Yehuda must have been very young. Rebbe was born, Rabbi Kiva passed away. Rebbe when Rebbe passed away, Rabbi Yehuda was born. Rabbi was born, and Rabbi Ashi. When the Rabbi passed away, Rabbi Ashi was born. Now, there's a big machlekes. The way Rashi learns in the Shas, it takes it literally. Rav Ashi was born only when the Rabbi passed away. Which means Rav Ashi no way ever learned by Rabbi. The Rambam learns in the Hagdama, page Mishnah, is that Rav Ashi was makabel from Rabbi, which means that it doesn't mean that Rav Ashi was born when Rabbi passed away. It means Rav Ashi was already a mahus when Rabbi passed away. Why? Another side has to be created. And it said, actually, it comes to Shim Shalei, Shmuel already, and over there, Hitaka was already a mahus. Shmuel Haramasi then. As it says in Pasuk, the Nedelakim ten and Yichbet, that the candle before it even gets extinguished. Shmuel Sheichem. Shmuel already was lying in the Heichel Hashem and so on. It says Tiva Hashem Yaakov. Hashem said to Yaakov, Sriva Tzara, they're surrounded by all these enemies. And Rabbi Yehuda Amar, Rabbi Yehuda says, in other words, Ammon and Moab were the ones who were terrorists, who terrorized the Eden more than any other nation, because they also were close to it as well. So he said that Ammon and Moab are still there. Rabbi Yehuda Amar Kiddushin Humanya lepum nara. It's like the city of Humanya that's full of Ammonim. And it happened with the Platchi Bemenoy passed away, and then it says here, Yechezkel said, but Epul upon Ezek, and I fell down when he passed away. Platchi passed away. I fell down. I screamed out, "Kol Gadol," and I said, "Aha, oy, Hashem Elokim." So Machlek Rabbi Shmuel. So what's Yechezkel? Is he lamenting the fact that he passed away, or was he happy that he passed away? So, or not happy the way he passed away. Rav Shmuel Chadam Alatayva, one of them says that he felt bad that this person was a good person. He passed away. But Chadam Alara, and the other one says no, that he was in a way happy the person passed away, and he was upset. Why did he pass away such a comfort? He died in his bed. He died old age. He should have died much earlier. What's going on here? Mandam Alatayva Kihadi standard of the nation. This is the story. What did he do that was so good? For example, there was a guy called the standard of the nation Chassid Nebuchadnezzar. He was an aide by the Nebuchadnezzar. Shalachle, he sent his father-in-law a letter. Mekula Haishavi, the Isel, you have so many captives. Loisha Dartalon, the Koila Kamon. Can't you send us anyone to work for us? Boy, usually Israel, you want to send them a few Eden to be their slaves. On Malay, so Paltoy Benoy said, Anand, he got up and he defended the Eden. He said, Anand, Chashbina Neke Bekamach. We, that Achashiv, should work for you. Ba'avdin Nezel Hassan. And let our avodim go there. In other words, yeah. So he saved the Eden. He said that he saved the Eden from going to all these different places. So what we're missing here? Sorry, just 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So he's saying like this: let us. He's saying here, we should go to the, you want to send us to that place, then leave the Eden here. So he saved the Eden from coming avodim to the Edom to the son-in-law of the Nebuchadnezzar. So therefore, he saved Eden from going there. But Amar Novi Misha also Toiv Yisrael Yomuz B'Chatzi Yomov, and Yechezkel said he just saved Eden from going there, from being avodim to avodim, from going to this place there to become avodim. He said, let them stay here. So therefore, he able to go. He deserves. He lamented the fact that he passed away. Manom Lero, the other one who says that there was a bad thing, that he was unhappy that he died, a ripe old age. Because it says a pasuk, and he came with me to Shabbat Hashem. Hakadmoni, appointed kedema. It says here that he came over here. Cheskel is saying that he came to the Shabbat Hashem, and we were facing east. There were 25 people there. I saw this standing amongst them. So he was standing there by the base of English. Sorry, he brought me inside. Opening there between the Ulam and the Mizbech. And these 25 people who included Platja is standing there with their backs. El Heichel Hashem, were playing came in the faces of facing eastward. The Master Hashem playing came, they're facing east. We know that the base of Mikdash was on the Mitre side. Any day Shachrein called Mitre, I know what it meant that the Chreim is facing west. Matam Eloim Chreim is Heichel Hashem. The Lamed Shema free in Atzmon. What they did was they undressed. They went ahead and they defecated just to Mivaza the base of Hamikdash, and including them was Platjes. Misha Asara, like we saw such a person who had no shame. Yomus al mitasa should die a ripe old age to forget. But we don't know who said what. To time the Shmuel Damalera. Let us say that Shmuel is the one who said that he was a Rasha. Why? He said that Mushkani is is pure lineage, is pure, and Mation and he said the city of Mation, we are not worried. In other words, this city where the son-in-law lived was a Meshach. And he says, in Meshach, we're not worried about Avdus v'loy mishum mamzedus. And there was no worry about Avdus there. There's no worry about mamzedus, which means he didn't send the other people there. We're not worried about anything there. So therefore, what is even there? That the Avodim did not go to Meshach. He held that the Avodim did not go to Meshach at all. He said it's a pure city. The only problem with that city is that they were chalalim. All these avodim who went there, even the avodim went to Meshach, doesn't matter. It's not. We're not worried about it anymore. Why not? Because he holds that if you're meyayish about your avodim, if your master has no control over you, you're automatically free altogether, and you're no longer an eved. They don't try to get shichas. Remember, it says called eved ish miknas kesed. Every eved of a person that is miknas kesed, eved ish, eved ish. Does that mean? What do you mean eved ish? And the eved of a woman is what? It's not a woman can't own avodim. If he's an eved of an ish, if the balabas has a shus of him, then you're owned by the balabas. Eved is called eved. Eved she'ain l'rabbi l'shus of anyone that the eved does not shus. Ain't called eved, no longer called eved. And so because over time these people were yayish, but they were stolen from them, and so on and so forth, there's no problem with avdus anymore. Comes along now. Everything we learned till now. That the rest of the world is Isa, that you have to do your homework, and it just throw a little less, and bubble is perfect. Those are the words of Rameya. The Chachamim say, "Kol arotzes becheskes kashas heim oimdus." Every yid has a cheskes kashas, and you don't have to worry. So this whole thing of the Al Mishnah that Olu Ezra went and cleansed bubble and all that is all Rameya. Says the Gemara, Ameima Shol Rab Huna. Sorry? Exactly. But the more didn't conclude yet. Ameima and Nachman. It was Rabbi Yehuda Mashmul before who said that the Kolarot is Isa Gabe Ejisrael. Ejisrael is Isa Gabe Bubble. And now he comes along and he says, he changes it all on flips it all on his head. Ameima Shorle Rab Huna Banosim Leminsim Itza Mechuz Yaisa. Ameima allowed Rab Huna Banosim to marry a woman from Mechuzah, which is not like part of bubble. What do you think? You think that do you believe that you can marry anybody? Well, but I've kind of didn't learn that. The Papa didn't learn that. They don't agree with this. They hold that you have to do investigations. Nevertheless, he wasn't Mekabovit, which was the Shmilim and Abzvid in the Doi. Here from Abzvid in the Doi, and which is not the same Ravid as Rashi says that we normally say because many years earlier. Tanabam we learned. Very important machlekes, very same machlekes. Mamzeide unesina tohoidim laosud lavei. When Mashiach will come, mamzeidim will become toir. Divrei Rabbi Yossi. Change the rules, and the Meir says ain't tohoidim. They will not become toir. All the reason with the heart is with the heart become toir. Says clearly, if you read the pasuk further, I'll retire you from tumah. Not I'll take away the mamzeidus. Then it says again, Metayed Eschem is now adding on Mamzedus. Says the Gemara, have a pasuk where it says in Chayev that in the future the Yoshav Mamze ba'Ashdod. There'll be Mamzedim living in Ashdod. So the Yoshav Mamze ba'Ashdod. When Mashiach will come, there'll be Mamzedim Ashdod. Not sure you want to live in Ashdod. Now this is what happens. Rabbi Yossi, so according to that, it makes sense because there will be Mamzedim then. But according to Rabbi Yossi, no longer Mamzedim Mashiach will come. Rabbi Yossi, Ma'avi Yoshav Mamze ba'Ashdod. When will be Mamzedim in Ashdod? Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yosef says that Yosef Beis Yisrael, people will sit over there that L'Roichsan Bahrain, they'll be dumbable in the Chrein because it's like so in the outskirts of Yisrael, they like friends, they're like Mamzedim who are outcasts, but really they're not. Now this is a big, almost a second. Halacha is like Rabbi Yosef, no Mamzedim then. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef, have an Elio would have come. And what? And mapik mine tzavarne kulori. We have to go and find all the mamzedim. Big machlek is a shayim. The Rosh ran here, the Rit and the Ramban, the Rambam. What's he want talking about here? There's no mamzedim. We know that I tell you to do but the Teiz Mamzer B'Kal Hashem. But what's going on here? And we had before a concept, Kimin Nitma Nitma. So the kids like this. Now some of the Shayim will hold a mamzer body we're not talking about. Can't be. How can you change? How can you change a Torah? We're talking about here those families that nitma, those families that got mixed up. When Mashiach will come, they'll become Torah. That's what they hold. Which means that now they're not Torah. Because what's going to happen when Mashiach will come? And in fact, what Rabbi Yossi, and you see the word, Rabbi Yossi says, if not for the fact that Rabbi Yossi, that the Torah, Eliyahu would have to come and find them and select them, which means who are we talking about? Not those we know for sure, the Mamzedim. There's nothing to select. It's talking about finding the ones that we forgot about, that nobody knows about, finding them. That means right now the Tameh, which explains why the Gemara says that the Tamei Chamim would tell each other quietly who the Mamzer is. So then the question is, why only quietly? You should tell everybody, publicize the Mamzedim. So that's the problem with that shitta. But that's one shitta. The other shitta is, that's the Rosh and many others. The other shitta is that no, the other way around. That Mashiach will come, a Mamzedim will be Torah completely. Kima nitma. They're mixed in. When Mashiach will come, Mamzedim will be 1% mutter. The Torah says clearly Mamzedim Hashem. All those will be born after Eliyahu comes will be the Mamzedim. It's just a Hayrosh show that anyone who's a Mamzer prior will no longer be a Mamzer. The problem with that shit is, so this Pasuk, when it's a question of Pasuk, the Yosef Mamzer Bashdod, we're talking about, sorry, the problem with the shit that the Mamzedim will exist in the future. So what's the problem with Yosef Mamzer Bashdod? The Vadei Mamzer will be living in Bashdod. It's only a suffix Mamzedim. So they ask back, but you saying there'll be new Mamzedim, all the new Mamzedim. So they're the ones saying Bashdod. Why more to answer that? So whichever way you want to look at it, it's not so simple. The Ran comes along and makes up a third shitta here, and he changes it. He holds not cuts or cuts. According to Rav Yossi, that says the Mashiach will come, there won't be any more Mamzedim. He says, but now he doesn't believe in this whole concept. Kimin Nidma. There are Mamzedim. They're all mixed in the family. There's a problem, and that's why the Megala, the Meir who holds that there'll be Mamzedim in the future holds Kimin Nidma. He's the one, the one who holds that there's no mamzeh, that there will be mamzeh in the future is very lenient today. That if it's forgotten, it's forgotten. So if it's forgotten, it's forgotten, and that's the halacha. Then why would Tamei Chacham tell their families there's a mamzeh in the family to keep away from them? Because we learned before shiftei ka edus liyisrael. The Eibush is namashlish chine ela halamashpoches hamyuchasas. So therefore, even though it's not a halacha, everything mutter, they would dafke want a family that is 100% pure, and that's why they wouldn't want to mix with that family because the shaylas there or sveikas there, whatever it is. Okay, let's continue the Gemara here. Let me learn. Gay, we already had it before. Gay noisi mamzeres Rabbi Yossi. A ger is allowed to marry a mamzeres according to Rabbi Yossi because he's not part of the Kol Hashem. And Rabbi Yehuda says gay lo yisrael. Rabbi Yehuda says a gay should not marry a mamzeres. A gay can marry a mamzeres. Interesting. According to the Rambam, a ger can marry a mamzeres. If the female can marry a mamzeres, but he says that the child of a ger and a mamzeres is a full-fledged Yid and cannot marry a mamzeres. The Ran argues. It's a very interesting thing. He says if a goy marries a Yiddish woman and the child is 100% a Yid, of course he cannot marry a mamzeres. Because he can go after the father, you go after the mother here, because there is no father. But he says if a ger marries a mamzeres, then we go back to the din mishpachaysel beis avosim. Who does the son go after? The father, and he's a ger. He has his name singing as a ger, so he should be able to marry a mamzeres. And this has impact regarding a daughter and so on. You can marry a bas kohen, daughter of a ger and thing, because you follow the father, and she's also a geirus. Anyway. Echad ger be'echad ever meshucher. Rabbi Yehuda says no. A ger should not marry a mamzeres because a ger is part of Kol Hashem. Whether a ger ever meshucher b'chol mutarim, echad ger echad ever meshucher b'chol mutarim b'kal. Bas kohen doesn't have any rules. My timer that Rabbi Yossi was for Rabbi Yossi. Chamisha kahol tzibur. It says 5 times in the Torah kol. 2 by mamzer, 2 by amoin and moav, and 1 by a mitzi. But by mitzi there's a positive way that he can go back to the kol. But there are 5 calls. What do you 5 calls for? Chad lekoinim. 1 is to tell you the koinim. Why the ger should not marry. The chad levim, or a mamzer, sorry, should not marry a kohen. The chad levim should not marry a lady. The chad Yisraelim, 1 for Yisrael. The chad lemishri mamzer b'shtuki. That a mamzer, but he could marry a shtuki. A shtuki is someone we know the mother is, we don't know who the father is. And the chad lemishri shtuki b'Yisrael. and want to be matir a shtuki to marry Yisrael. Again, shtuki, we don't know the lineage, is allowed to marry a Yisrael. Because a shtuki is like a suffix mamzer. It's not a vadim mamzer, a suffix mamzer. And l'chayda, you would think a vadim mamzer can I marry a suffix mamzer. So we say that we dash in now. Now, when do we say that a mamzer cannot marry kol only if it's a kol vadai? This shtuki is a kol suffix. A mamzer is allowed to marry. If it's right, mamzer vadai amar achmona v'lo mamzer suffix. So Yisrael is also allowed to marry this person. Just like there's a suffix kol is mutter for a mamzer, a suffix mamzer is mutter for Yisrael, and therefore shtuki can marry. Yeah, kol gadim shtuki be so. Kahal gadim legal kol. So there's no longer any kol left. Therefore, a gate is not included, and therefore mamzer is allowed to marry. A gate is allowed to marry a mamzeris because the gate is not part of the kol. But Rabbi Yehuda, koyinim v'leviyim mechad kol nafkat. Yehuda said that the gate is a kol. He's missing the word kol. No, he doesn't. He's a koyin levi are one and the same. Ayatollah the kol gate. What's extra kol for gate? Now, what's the machlekes here is a very interesting hakira. How do we understand the koyin? The idea of a koyin. Is a koyin a Levi but one notch above, or is a koyin nothing to do with a Levi? Koyin is a separate thing altogether. This is the machlekes of Akiva and Rabbi Azariah. If koyin will not eat meiser, before Ezra made that knas, Rabbi Akiva says koyin were always allowed to have meiser. Rabbi Akiva holds a koyin. Every koyin is a Levi, but plus is a higher level. So whatever a Levi is entitled to, so is a koyin plus the extra two minutes of the kachim. And Rabbi Azariah says no, a koyin is a separate am than Levi. Doesn't have that. Same machlekes is here. Do we say that if a koyin is a Levi plus, Rabbi Yehuda says it's included in the same pasuk? Rabbi says no. A koyin is a koyin, a Levi is a Levi, two separate nations, and therefore it's two separate, unionim. So therefore they need separate something. Or he buys him. The answer is hachamete koloninu. That what they tack it together, but you have two kolim. Mamzer b'shtuki, shtu b'Yisrael mechad kol nafka. You use one kol for a mamzer because a suffix kol. The idea of a suffix kol and the idea of a suffix mamzer that is not a mamzer and that's not a kol, you can learn from the same word. You need vadai and not suffix. Lo yavim mamzer kal Hashem mamzer vadi lo yavim. Dafka mamzer who's definitely a mamzer. Oh, mamzer suffix yavim they call. But yavim, but a suffix mamzer can't. The Shav Shmai has a whole arichas on this that you have a passing mamzer vadei every suffix mamzer suffix matay l'chumra, right? Every suffix matay l'chumra. Even suffix is mutter over here. How do you understand that? Is this a right to the Rambam hold that every suffix matay is matay is l'kula? Is this where the Rambam learns his shit from? That every suffix matay is l'kula, and that v'haraya we learned that a suffix mamzer is mutter. Or forget the Torah had to make an exception because everywhere else something about Torah l'chumra. Here I'm telling you it's mutter. And because saying that call vadad l'yava because something yava. So therefore, again, so he learned both from one pasuk. So if he has an extra call to teach you that a gate is part of the call and the gate cannot marry a mamzeris. This one. Another answer is hani nami te koloninu. Maybe no, maybe right. There are two columns. So I know about a gate. The gate is part of the call. The time of Yidam Mahoch, he learned from another pasuk altogether. It says hakol chuka achas lachem. It says that the kol has one rule for everybody. V'lagate hagon, that the kol is one chuka for everybody, including the gate. So the gate is a part of the kol. A mamzer cannot marry a gate, whatever a gate is cannot marry a mamzer. Rabbi Yesi, what does he do with chuka? Chuka achas hifsike inyan. That chuka achas comes because it says hakol, then it says chuka achas. So hakol is before the word chuka achas. So chuka achas, and afterwards it says lagay lagor. It's talking about something else. Not about the union of kol that everyone is included in one kol. So Rabbi Yosef says that a gate is not part of the kol, and therefore a gate is mutter mams and all that what kind of stuff. And this fits in what Tesis wants to say before that we talked about yesterday that a gate is not part of arvus because it's not part of the kol, and we don't say kol yisraelim regarding a gate according to one of the Tesis. Okay, we'll stop over here.